After 19 successful years serving on the State Supreme Court of New York, Judge Patricia DiMango is now serving on Hot Bench, one of the hottest daytime television shows in syndication. I'm Michael Reel, and this is Real Urban News. We're on set for an exclusive interview with Judge DiMango.
In other words, if you felt that you should be splitting the rent with her, then you know that.
Judge Acker, you started out with Judge Patricia DiMango right here on the set of Hot Bench. What has that been like for you all?
It's been really fun. I mean, I think that as the show has continued, we've gotten to know each other better. It's been great. I mean, it's been great sort of learning the law and arbitrating these cases with these great folks. It's just been wonderful.
You all are dispensing justice. That's important to you.
We're a justice factory.
Judge Corriero, you have had the opportunity to witness Judge DiMango's rise, not only here at Hot Bench, but also in the state of New York. What has that been like for you?
That's true. You know, I know Judge DiMango since she was a prosecutor and actually appeared before me when I was sitting in Kings County Supreme Court. She was always had this terrific sense of humor, made the work that we did, which was sometimes very tense, very, very difficult, very emotional for many people there, just really very pleasant. And she's carried through and developed into this. Not only she became a judge and the administrative judge of Kings County, she's now a television judge, and I'm just proud to be a colleague of hers and Judge Acker, actually.
What do the litigants get when they come before Patricia DiMango, Judge DiMango on Hot Bench?
I think they get the same thing that we're all trying to impart, right? Which is a sense of fairness, a sense of being heard. You know, it's one of the upsides, I think, to the show is that Patricia is going to look at something one way, you know, at times. Michael's going to look at something another way. I may look at something a different way. So they really get this diversity of perspectives. And I think, you know, it's 3 shots at trying to convince somebody.
Yeah, remind Judge DiMango that I use one of her quotes, that there's nobody like the 3 of us. And I think that's so true.
That was there. I believe they used a significant amount of the work.
Judge Patricia DiMango, you are in the 4th season of Hot Bench. How exciting.
It is probably one of the most exciting things that have happened to me in my life, really, other than becoming a judge.
And you became a judge in the state of New York. You served on the bench in New York for 19 years.
Yes,
Talk about that experience.
Well, I initially started off as a criminal court judge, sitting in the lower court handling misdemeanor cases. And then from there, I was ultimately elected to the New York State Supreme Court, where I handled major felony offenses, cases under indictment for the most part, in the borough of Brooklyn, the borough of the Bronx, and other places as well.
What was that experience like, though, in terms of preparation for Hot Bench?
Well, it was, you know what, I wasn't a conscious preparation because I had no idea that this is where my career would ultimately take me. Where I wanted to go was actually where I ended up when I finally left the bench. Was I was hoping at some point to rise within the court system and become the administrative judge, which I ultimately did. But all of the experience on the bench, of course, was beneficial to my to anything that I'm doing on the show here. I mean, it's just the experience is invaluable.
How did you arrive at Hot Bench?
Oh, I love telling this story, and I'm sure most people have heard it, but I was watching television one night. It was about 8 o'clock in New York, and the phone rang, and I saw an unfamiliar number for an area code, and picked it up, and the male voice said, is this Judge DiMango? I said, yes, it is. He said, he told me his name, and he said, would you have time to take a phone call from Judge Scheinman? And I said, of course. He goes, and by the way, this is not a joke. So I said, okay, great. And within 10 minutes, the phone rang, and the voice at the other end said, is this Judge DiMango? I said, yes, it is. She goes, do you know who this is? And I said, well, I certainly do now.
Sure.
And she said that she was putting together a new television show based on her experience having gone over to Ireland for an award that she was receiving. And she visited the courthouse and saw that they had 3-judge trial bench, and she wanted to bring that into the court genre that they were, had on television. She said she had selected 2 individuals, 2 judges from California to sit on the bench, and she was looking for a chief judge, and she wanted someone from the East Coast. She said, I still have friends there. She said, and I said to them that I was looking for someone like me, only younger, and they gave me your name. She said, would you ever consider doing television? And I said, well, sure, but how would that ever happen, other than basically this phone call? She said, would you be interested in auditioning? And I said, yes, I would. In which case she said, fine, we'll fly you out here. And pretty much the rest is history.
Were you surprised?
Totally surprised. Very unexpected, totally surprised. Because when I was in the courtroom, I always had, pretty much what you see on television is a little bit less, actually, than what you would have seen on the Supreme Court bench. And so people would always say to me, you need a show, Judge, you need a show. And I say, yeah, from your mouth to Judge Judy's ears, from your mouth. And it was like, and then all of a sudden when this happened, it was just an amazing turn of events for me.
As that call came in, which was surprising, you were also the first Italian female judge to serve on the Supreme Court in New York. That must have been an honor.
Anytime they label you as the first of something, it truly is an honor to break through a barrier and pave the way for other individuals, because judgeships obviously they're not easy to get. Nominations for judgeships are not easy. And when I was first appointed by Mayor Giuliani to the criminal court, there had been no other Italian-American woman to ever sit in all 5 boroughs in the criminal court history. So there I was the first. And then when I was elected to the Supreme Court in Brooklyn, Kings County, there had never been an Italian-American woman nominated or elected for that position either. So not only was I very proud, and of course my parents were extremely proud, but the Italian-American community was really thrilled to see that we had representation on the bench for the Italian-American woman.
When did you realize you wanted to become a judge?
When I went to law school, I said, you know what? I'll do this, because I wasn't sure I really wanted to go to law school. I was really gearing myself towards I loved psychology, and I still use a lot of it on the bench.
Sure.
And I had my master's degree in psychology, and I was going for postmaster's, just second master's degree credits in psychology. And I said, that's what I wanted to do. And then there was some layoffs. And when I went to law school, I said, if I'm going to do this, I want to rise to the highest level that a person rises to in this arena, in this field. And so I said, I'm going to be a judge.
You work with 2 wonderful judges here on Hot Bench, Judge Michael Corriero, and who is a native New Yorker,
Absolutely.
and Judge Tanya Acker. What is that experience like?
I'm going to tell you, it has turned into the most amazing experience, because of course anytime you move into a different, you do a job differently, there's always a little bit of apprehension. Can I do it? How will it feel? How is it different? And so initially when you come onto a bench where there's 2 other judges that you're sharing a bench with, 2 other individuals, you find, oh my goodness, I now have to share my thoughts and explain myself. And so it took a little while to acclimate, but now I say sometimes, I might miss a little something here and there, and I'm listening to 2 individuals that I respect amazingly. Judge Corriero, I know from when I was a prosecutor, and of course I met Tanya Acker when I was here, and it's just amazing how we have come together to be individuals who respect each other's opinions, we respect each other's knowledge of the law, and we rely on one another, I think, to help us reach what becomes, we hope, a fair and reasonable verdict in all of these cases.
What's fresh about this show is the deliberation process. When you and your colleagues take a break, you all go to chambers and you all are expressing your views. Talk about that deliberation process.
Well, it has become something that even I enjoy, and because I'm back there in chambers listening to two people who I respect give me their view and share amongst the three of us, share their views and perceptions of both the testimony, the credibility, and the evidence before us, and their understanding of the law. So to me, it's just really been a beneficial and worthwhile experience.
What do you want people at home to know? Potential litigants, what do they need to know before they come before this unique court hot bench?
Well, make sure first you have a legitimate lawsuit. If you're going to file a lawsuit, it should be a legitimate lawsuit. If you have a legitimate lawsuit, then keep as much of the evidence that you possibly can in support of your position and to refute perhaps an opposing position on the major issues. Actually do a little research into the type of case that you have. Know what it is you're going to need to prove a particular type of, like a breach of contract. Know what it is you're going to need to establish so that you can give that to us. More importantly than anything, credibility is what really makes or breaks a case. And we each have a different way of assessing an individual's credibility. We don't all use the same litmus test for credibility assessment, which makes it very interesting. I think for me, it makes my interaction with my colleagues, with Judges Acker and Judges Corriero, makes them interesting to me because I get a different feel for things.
When you talk about credibility, in layman's terms, telling the truth.
Yeah, telling the truth. Because very often there's no physical or documentary evidence to support a position. And so all you have, even in a criminal case, you can convict an individual of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt based solely on the testimony of one witness. So if you can do that in a criminal case, and here the burden of proof is the preponderance of the evidence, so it's just a tipping of the scales, credibility can really make and break a whole case. And that is, do you sound truthful? Does what you say make sense? When you tell me this, are you looking up at the ceiling or at your feet, or have you been impeached in the course of our questioning you? Have you been consistent with your answers? There are so many ways that you can assess credibility, and once we believe you're truthful, then pretty much you can prove the case even without physical evidence.
You having a good time?
I'm loving every second of it. I'm loving every second. I mean, could you beat this? I mean, I have two wonderful colleagues. I work with a great staff of individuals and people, and everyone is here to make us look terrific. Beautiful weather in California. If I could only transplant my family here, it would probably be just the perfect life.
Because you're bi-coastal.
I certainly am, almost every week. Back and forth cross country, yes.
As we prepare to close, you look wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's your secret?
Makeup, hair. A lot of great people. Christine does makeup, Loretta does hair, a lot of great people working on me, fixing me up, just doing the best they can with the little that they have.
I understand you were surprised recently at the Palm restaurant in New York when your image, along with your colleagues, was there on the wall.
Absolutely surprised. In fact, as I looked at it, it still didn't dawn on me that it had been worked out, that our publicist got us up on the wall at the entrance
Wow.
of the restaurant. So it was not like maybe if you sat in the back, you'll see us. It's everybody who goes to the Palm is going to see us. And about a week later, I went with 10 people from my family, and we all took pictures under our picture and our photograph, and it was just, these types of things really, being on the bench is just being on the bench. I've done that, but that kind of lifestyle, that kind of notoriety type of thing, where could you get that other than a job like this? It's just amazing. Just doing what you love, doing the right thing, and making it into the public eye. You can't ask for more.
Doing what you love.
Yeah, doing what you love.
And doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Patricia DiMango.
Thank you.
Thank you.